I'm 83 years old, and I spent 2 years waiting for a phone to ring. I let that black plastic thing on my side table decide if I was happy or sad. I let it make me a prisoner in my own apartment. It was a slow death, you see. And then I stopped. I unplugged it. That's the only way I learned to survive living alone. Let me tell you what happened. It started when Walter died, my husband. That was 3 years ago. He was the one who talked to people. He filled up the rooms. After he was gone, the phone was my lifeline. It rang all the time at first. Then it didn't. The silence got bigger. It moved from his side of the bed to the whole house. I'd stare at that phone. I'd think, it's been 6 days. I wouldn't take a bath with the door closed in case it rang. I was a woman waiting for a bell to tell her she existed. My daughter Eleanor called every week. A dutiful call, 7 minutes. She'd ask about my pills. I'd say I was fine. I never told her about the time I fell in the shower. I could hear her typing on her computer while we talked. She's busy, a good girl. But after we hung up, the quiet was worse. It was a hungry quiet. One day I saw a robin outside my window. It was building a nest. It wasn't waiting for anything. It was just doing. I felt so jealous of that bird. Honestly, it shamed me. So I got up and I unplugged the phone from the wall. Just pulled the cord out. The little hum I never noticed stopped. I panicked. What if Eleanor needed me? What if there was an emergency? I sat there, my heart pounding. I felt like a criminal. But the world didn't end. I had to get out. I put on my coat and just left. I walked to the park. I walked slow. I saw the cracks in the pavement. I bought a hot chocolate from Miguel at the cart. We smiled. He gave me the cup. It was a tiny thing, but it was real. It happened because I moved my own feet. When I got home, the phone looked different. Like a tool, not a shrine. I plugged it back in, but it was my choice now. I decided to paint Walter's old study. It was full of his papers. I found a shoebox of photos. Us at the beach. Eleanor on her first bike. I didn't cry. I put one on the windowsill. The phone rang while I was sorting. I let the machine get it. A man trying to sell me something. I needed a screwdriver for the window latch. I thought of the woman in 4B, Mrs. Chen. We'd only ever smiled in the elevator. Knocking on her door was the hardest thing I'd done in months. She opened it, looked surprised. I asked for the screwdriver. She said, "Come in." Her place smelled like ginger soup. It was full of plants. We didn't talk about being widows. We talked about where to buy good green onions. I left with the screwdriver and a piece of her jade plant in a paper cup. I had a friend. That changed everything. I started calling people, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I called Eleanor. I told her about the robin and the paint color. She got quiet. Then she said, "You sound different, Mom." I called my old friend Martha and let her complain about her arthritis. It was wonderful. I was planting my own garden now. The silence between calls felt peaceful. It was mine. Then I fell. My rug slipped. I went down hard. I couldn't get up. The phone was across the room. The old fear came back. I'm alone. I need help. But then I thought, no, I can crawl. I can call for Mrs. Chan. I breathed. Nothing was broken. I used a chair and pulled myself up. I made tea. I didn't call anyone. I felt strong. I survived it alone. So when Eleanor called for her weekly check-in, I spoke first. I said, "I'm coming for dinner Sunday. I'll take the bus." She was shocked. She said, "Let me pick you up." I told her, "I'm sure I want to take the bus." I told her about the fall, made it a joke. I heard the worry in her voice, but under it, I heard respect. I'm not just her old mom anymore. I'm a person who decides things. So here is my advice. Stop waiting for the phone to ring. The waiting will kill you. Unplug it. Go see the cracks in the pavement. Knock on a door. The calls might come, they might not. But your life can't be a waiting room. Live in the main house. Make your own noise. Plant something in a cup. Surviving alone isn't about bearing the quiet. It's about being the one who breaks it. But you see that new feeling, that strength, it was fragile. Like the first ice on a puddle. It only took one thing to make me question it all over again. It was a Tuesday. The phone rang. A real ring, not a solicitor. It was Martha, my old friend. Her voice was shaky. She said, "Helen, it's Frank. He's gone." Just like that. A heart attack. Her husband. I sat down hard. I didn't know what to say. All I could think was, that could be me. I'm next. I went to the funeral. It was small. I held Martha's hand. She looked lost. She kept saying, "What do I do now? Who will I talk to?" She was staring into the same hole I'd been in. It scared me. It scared me because I saw myself in her. I came home that night and the apartment felt different. Cold. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was just waiting. I looked at the phone. I thought, Martha will need someone to call. She'll call me. And I started waiting again, just like before. I caught myself not going to the store in the morning, just in case. I felt so angry. I thought I was past this. I wasn't. It was a habit, deep in my bones. A few days later, Mrs. Chen knocked on my door. She had a bowl of soup. She saw my face. She said, "You look like you saw a ghost." I told her about Frank, about Martha. I said, "I'm waiting for her to call. I'm doing it again." Mrs. Chen just nodded. She put the soup on my table. She said, "So call her right now. Don't wait for her to be lonely. Be the friend before she needs one." It was so simple. I felt stupid. I dialed Martha's number. She answered on the first ring. She sounded surprised. I didn't wait for her to talk. I said, "I'm coming over tomorrow. We're going for a walk." No arguments. She started to cry. Not sad crying, relieved. She said, "Thank you, Helen." That thank you, it wasn't for the walk. It was for not making her wait. It was for not making her ask. That's when I really understood. The phone isn't the problem. It's the waiting. The waiting is a choice. I had chosen to wait for Walter to come back. I had chosen to wait for Eleanor to fill my days. I had chosen to wait for a ring to give me permission to live. But I could choose something else. I could be the one who rings. I could be the one who rings. That was the lesson. But you see, knowing something and living it are different countries. I tried. I really did. I called Martha every other day. I had Mrs. Chen over for tea. I even called my grandson Leo. He sounded surprised, but he talked for 10 minutes about his new job. It felt good. But then winter came, a bad one. The ice on the sidewalks kept me inside for a week. The walls closed in. The silence got thick again. And the old habit, the waiting, it crept back in like a draft under the door. I found myself staring at the phone again, not with hope, but with the kind of dread. I thought, this is it. This is my life until the end. A series of small efforts, and then the quiet wins. The hardest moment came on a Sunday. Eleanor usually called on Sundays. The whole day I waited. I didn't call her. I wanted her to call me. I needed to know she remembered without my prompting. The day got later and later. 4 o'clock, 5, 6. The phone was silent. I felt sick. I felt like that old woman again, the one before the unplugging. I was devastated. All my progress felt like a lie. I sat in my chair in the dark. I didn't turn on a lamp. I just let the dark fill the room. At 7:30, the phone rang. I jumped. It was Eleanor. Her voice was rushed. "Mom, I'm so sorry. Leo's soccer game ran late. Then we had to get dinner. It's just been a day." I said, "It's fine," but my voice was flat. She heard it. She said, "Mom, are you okay?" And I broke. I didn't mean to. It just came out. I said, "I waited all day. I felt like you forgot me." There was a long silence on her end. Then she started to cry. She said, "Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't. I just got busy." But then she said the thing that cut me. She said, "But why do you have to wait? Why can't you just call me when you want to talk?" She wasn't saying it to be cruel. She was genuinely confused. And that's when I saw the cost of all my waiting. I had taught my own daughter that our connection was her responsibility, her duty. I had made myself a passive thing, a problem to be managed on a schedule. I had let my loneliness become a burden for her to carry. I cried then, hard. I said, "I don't know why. I'm just so tired of being the one who is alone." She stayed quiet. She just let me cry. Finally, she said, "You're not alone, Mom, but you have to meet me halfway. You have to be in my life, not just waiting for me to visit yours." It hurt. It hurt because it was true. I had been living in a museum of my own life, waiting for guests. I'd lost Walter, but in my grief, I'd almost lost everyone else too. I'd pushed them away by making them performers in my loneliness. I told Eleanor I loved her. We hung up. I felt raw, broken open, but clean somehow. The worst truth was out. That night, after I cried with Eleanor, I sat in the dark for a long time. The worst truth was out, and it left me feeling hollowed, but strangely light. I had seen the cost. I had taught everyone to treat me like a fragile thing on a shelf, to be checked on and dusted, but never truly engaged with. I had made my loneliness their chore, and in doing so, I had almost disappeared. Here's what I learned in the raw quiet after that phone call. Love isn't a performance you wait for others to stage for you. It's not a weekly 7-minute script. It's a conversation. And for 83 years, I'd forgotten how to start one. I was wrong about the phone. I thought it was a lifeline thrown to me. Really, it was just a piece of wire. I was the one who had to pick it up and speak. Walter was gone. That pain was a fact, like the sky. But I had let that fact become the only room I lived in. I was waiting for him to walk back in, or for someone to come and pull me out. No one could. They could knock on the door, but I had to be the one to turn the handle and step over the threshold. So my advice is this, especially if you're my age and living alone. Don't perform your loneliness. Don't make it a show for your children where they have the lines and you just react. It's a terrible burden to give them. They have their own lives, their own chaos. Meet them in it. Call and ask about the soccer game that made them late. Send a text about the robin you saw, even if they don't reply right away. Be a person in their world, not a portrait on the wall of yours. And don't make every connection a report on your health. Talk about the soup Mrs. Chen made. Talk about the stubborn philodendron. Give them something to see you through, not just to check off. The other thing is this. Let people need you. I was so busy thinking of myself as the one who needed help, I forgot I could give it. Calling Martha after Frank died wasn't just good for her. It rebuilt something in me. It made me a friend again, not just a widow. You still have something to give. Maybe it's just listening. Maybe it's a screwdriver or a jade cutting, but give it. It proves you're still here. There is hope, but it's not the flashy kind. It's the quiet hope of a plant in a paper cup. It might not grow fast, it might not flower, but it's alive and it's yours. You still have time, maybe not decades, but you have now. And now is enough to go for a walk, to knock on a door, to paint a room. Survival isn't a grand dramatic battle. It's a series of small, stubborn choices to engage with the world on your own terms. The silence will always be there, but now I choose when it starts and when it ends. I fill it with my own projects, my own calls. It's my silence, and that makes all the difference. If this story of an old woman and her phone meant anything to you, do something for me. Don't just let it sit in your mind. First, if you're watching this and you know someone who might be waiting by their phone, share this with them. Sometimes we need to hear it from a stranger to understand. If you're that person waiting, leave a comment below. Just say, I'm here. You don't have to tell your story. Just let me know I'm not shouting into the void and you're not alone in the quiet. It helps. Second, if these kinds of real, quiet stories of life are what you need more of, please subscribe and turn on notifications. I don't make dramatic videos, but I tell the truth as I've lived it. There's power in that. Your like is more than a button. It's a nod across the miles, a way of saying you understand.